Rebbe took the Torah and brought it down to earth for us.
The President will make his own personal presentation of the Congressional Gold Medal in the White House.
We desperately needed a leader like the Lubavitcher Rebbe.
Ladies and gentlemen, please offer a welcome to the Speaker of the House, Mr. Newt Gingrich. We're gathered here this morning, throughout this day, culminating this evening with a banquet to pay tribute to this generation's greatest Jewish leader. Throughout his lifetime, he exemplified selflessness, dedication to his people and to humanity at large.
Heavenly, merciful Father, we have come to Washington so many times amid happiness to celebrate the Rebbe's birthday. Today, Rosh Chodesh Tammuz, we gather here with mixed emotions. As we gather today in Washington to receive, on behalf of the Rebbe, one of the nation's most coveted honors, Vayipoked Mikim David, the Rebbe, is not physically and visibly with us, although unquestionably his spirit is now in this room. Wees Shalom Bimreimov, Hu Yasa Shalom Aleinu V'Alkol Yisrael, and let us say V'imru Amen.
I'd like you to welcome Mr. Gingrich not only as the Speaker of the House today, but as the original sponsor of the resolution that he was even before he was the Speaker. And I'd like you to give a very hearty welcome to a good friend of ours on Capitol Hill, the Honorable Newt Gingrich, Speaker of the House.
You know, I was thinking on this historic date and this wonderful occasion with all of you here, what's the real lesson to be learned from this? And I think it's three things. And I'm very glad that John Lewis is here. John and I have not agreed on a number of things this year. But we both agree about the importance of what we're doing here today. And the Rabbi stood for a set of ideals which in and of themselves draw people together in a positive way, and which stand for the kind of decency, the kind of way of life, the kind of spiritual meaning which allows humans to live with each other in peace and to seek a better and more just future. And there's a sense of here is a candle that was lit, but there's a second part, and that is that Rabbi Schneerson didn't just believe the ideals, he lived them. And he lived them for a very long time. And there was a continuity and an integrity in his commitment, which itself became a witness to the very ideals. And then there was a third part, which all of you should take some pride in. And that is that those who he touched themselves lived the ideals. And so if you're in our business and you're approached every day by dozens of lobbyists with high-paid explanations of temporary measures that will enrich somebody or not enrich somebody, and then someone walks up to you with sincerity and integrity and authenticity and doesn't ask you to help them increase their profit margin, but instead says, for the good of the world, this is something noble and idealistic that should be recognized. Then whether you are a conservative Republican or a liberal Democrat, across a remarkably broad range of people, you find a positive thing which draws you together. And I think that it's in that spirit that I'm so delighted to be here today. I hope each of you can take solace that in your life, the Rabbi lives. That in your commitment, the way you spend each day, the ideals you teach others, you continue that tradition and you keep it alive in a way which is ultimately immortal. And I do believe in that sense that you create in this secular world of ours a spirit of hope and a living example for other human beings, which is just extraordinarily important to the maintenance of civilization. And I am very honored and very humbled to be here today. I feel very unworthy to have been part of this kind of operation, to pull together from all sides, without regard to partisanship or ideology, a joint effort. And I thank all of you for what you do each day, and I beg each of you to continue to keep faith, to continue to live your life in as noble a way as you can, and to continue to try to reach out to help others who may not yet have had that moment of understanding. Thank you all very, very much for allowing me to be here.
I think Mr. Lewis represents the message which the Rebbe sent to all of humanity. And I would like to call upon him to say a few nice words to us this morning. Mr. Lewis.
I'm very happy and pleased and delighted to be here this morning. It is an honor to join you at this congressional meeting, paying tribute to Rabbi Menachem Schneerson, known throughout the world simply as the Rebbe. Today, the Rebbe will be posthumously awarded the Congressional Gold Medal. It is a fitting and honor for a great man, a man who dedicated his life to helping others and to bringing people together. One of your speakers this morning, the Speaker of the House and I have many disagreements. Some people have said that we agree on almost nothing at all. But there's one thing, there is at least one thing on which we do agree. That is the awarding of this medal. This award, this medal for the Rebbe, did that. It brought Newt Gingrich and John Lewis together. It brought Democrats and Republicans, liberals, conservatives, northerners and southerners, blacks, whites, and Hispanics. It brought us all together. We may no longer see the Rebbe with our eyes, but his spirit lives in our hearts, in our souls, and in our deeds. The Rebbe, like my mentor, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., worked every day of his life to build what Dr. King used to call the beloved community, an all-inclusive community, a community at peace with itself. A country and a world in which people were not judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I'm honored and blessed by your friendship. Working together, we can accomplish great things. Together, we can build a better world, a more united world, a more peaceful world. It is a world the Rebbe devoted his life to create. We must carry on his work. We all must keep our eyes on the prize. Thank you.
Please make him feel very welcome. Senator Joe Lieberman of Connecticut.
Thank you, dear friends. I appreciate Rabbi Shem Tov's kindness to me. I appreciate your welcome, and I particularly appreciate it with humility because it all comes in the presence of my mother. Please welcome Mom. Even a senator can use a good word to be said in the presence of his mother. You know that. Let me just say very, very briefly that I welcome you on this historic day to the Capitol of the United States, and I wish you in this special day, moment by moment, that each of you and each of us should have the honor, the zchus, to live in some small measure today the way the Rebbe lived every day of his life, a day of Kiddush Hashem, of by our actions and by our thoughts sanctifying God's name, a day of purpose, a day of accomplishment, not just thought and study, but a day of action, which is so synonymous with the Rebbe's life and legacy. And let us not forget on this day, as we feel some of the sadness that brings us here, that the Rebbe's life was filled with joy. This is the day which the Lord has made. Let us rejoice, be glad, and be grateful thereon. Have a great day. I will see you tonight.
We just would like to have a greeting from the Israeli ambassador, who made a special effort to be here this morning. so that the embassy would be represented at the highest level.
Thank you, Rabbi Shem Tov. My chief rabbi, chief rabbis, rabbis, Morai Rabotai, brothers and sisters. I'm delighted to be able to be greeting you here this morning on behalf of the government of Israel. We all attribute a great deal of importance and significance to the events of this day for a number of reasons. The importance that we all attribute to the Chabad movement in the modern history of the Jewish people, to the rabbi, to the late rabbi, who represented to all of us the notions of Kadosh and Tzaddik in a latter-day manifestation, the importance that we attribute to the Chabad community that lives in the state of Israel, and the importance that we attribute to the Chabad community in this country and all over. We are delighted that the government of the United States, in the highest level, saw fit to honor the rabbi and the movement by bestowing on him posthumously of the Congressional Gold Medal, Honor Medal. And this is a great day for all of us. And briefly, but in the most solemn and significant way, I want to bring to you the best greetings and to tell you that we all are part of the simcha and of the celebration of this day. We all trust that the events of the day will unfold with great success and great impact that we shall all participate in and celebrate together. Shalom.
The House will be in order. The prayer will be offered by the guest chaplain, Rabbi Israel Meir Lau.
יברכך אדוני מציון, וראה בטוב ירושלים כל ימי חייך, וראה בנים לבניך שלום על ישראל. אבינו שבשמיים, our Father in heaven, bless and grace the House of Representatives of the United States of America, lead them in the right way to bring peace in the United States of America and in the entire universe, the benefit of all mankind. I am very happy to be here and to thank you for the declare and the proclamation offering the Congressional Golden Medal in tribute, in honor of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, Rabbi Menachem Mendel Schneerson, a spiritual leader not only for the Jewish people, but for all mankind. His students, his followers, the Chabad movement of Lubavitch, in its over 2,000 educational and social institutions, bring to a world which will be improved in peace, in health, in happiness. So I appreciate on behalf of the State of Israel, of the people of Israel, of the people, the Jewish people all over the world, your brilliant idea. Let us say, all of us, He, the Almighty, who makes peace in His heights, will make peace upon us, upon the entire universe, and let us say, Amen.
Rabbi Yetlau is the chief rabbi of Israel. The pledge will be led by the gentleman from Florida, Mr. Stearns.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The gentleman from New York.
We're very honored to have Israel's chief rabbi, Rabbi Lau, present with us as we commemorate the awarding of a Congressional Gold Medal to the late leader, of the Lubavitch Hasidim, Rabbi Menachem Mendel Schneerson of blessed memory. Rabbi Lau has come to the United States because of his admiration for the late Rabbi Schneerson.
The chair at this time will recognize the gentleman from New York, Mr. Lazio.
I'm honored this morning to speak about a very extraordinary American. Born in Russia in 1902, educated at the Sorbonne University in Paris, Rabbi Schneerson emigrated to America and built a worldwide organization dedicated to goodness out of the ashes of the Holocaust. The Rebbe exemplified the meaning of Chabad, an acronym that stands for wisdom, understanding, and knowledge. The Chabad movement he led became the world's largest Jewish education and outreach organization, active in 42 countries and almost every state in our union. We honor his memory today because the Rebbe's work on behalf of morality, education, and charity, and his essential goodness made him a respected and beloved religious leader around the world. The Rebbe's good work reached far beyond the Hasidic community he led so well from a small brownstone building in the Crown Heights section of Brooklyn. Awarding a Congressional Gold Medal in the Rebbe's memory is a fitting tribute to a great humanitarian whose work on behalf of all people will never be forgotten. Yield back my time.
The chair will now recognize the gentleman from Florida, Mr. Deutsch. The gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also join my colleagues in a very special opportunity to remind the world and this country and this Congress about the work of the Rebbe Menachem Mendel Schneerson, someone who in his lifetime probably influenced as many people as anyone else maybe in the history of the world in terms of good works and good deeds. I also thank the Chief Rabbi of Israel for being with us today and being part of a ceremony. Most members, I think, are aware that today the gold medal that this Congress voted for the late Rebbe will be given at a ceremony at the White House, and there are activities throughout the day in terms of speeches in memory of the Rebbe. I can speak, in a sense, from a personal perspective from the community that I represent in South Florida. Before I moved to the community, there were no presence of the Chabad movement. In a mere 15 years, there are 6 centers of learning, a school that has several hundred students, and it's not just the community that, in a sense, the Rebbe taught to, but the entire community of the world in terms of education and really faith, that we have the opportunity today in a special way to thank and to bless his memory. I yield back the balance of my time.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Florida rise?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. And I would like to welcome all of you to our international luncheon. After Congressman Gilman's remarks, we will begin our day's proceedings for the luncheon. Congressman Gilman, please.
Thank you, Rabbi. As a host of today's event, I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome all of you to this historic gathering celebrating the awarding of a Congressional Gold Medal to Rabbi Menachem Schneerson, blessed memory. It's a great honor to Rabbi Schneerson's legacy that so many distinguished guests have gathered from the 4 corners of the earth to witness this event. Today's international tribute honors the life and teachings of the Rebbe, whose impact on Jewry worldwide will continue to be felt for generations to come. We're especially pleased that so many chief rabbis have joined us. I'm certain that we'll all look back on this historic presentation with a fuller appreciation of Rabbi Schneerson's legacy. Have a good day and shalom.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamatzilechem min haaretz.
The Rebbe was. But there have been so very few spiritual leaders who have so transformed the spiritual climate of their times. And from a generation of Holocaust and mourning, he inspired a generation of rebuilding and of joyous return to God. It is highly appropriate that the prayer that issues forth from our deliberations and celebrations in joy, as he would have wished, is the prayer that on this first anniversary, we pray for the fulfillment of all the prophetic promises for healing, because this is what the prophets were saying. Healing and redemption for the whole of mankind. And this will be with the coming and the revelation of our righteous Messiah, maybe speedily in our days. Amen.
We have guests here today from over 40 states in the Union and 22 countries around the world. Many have come from as close as Canada. Let's hear it for Canada, so many of you. And from all the way as far away as Australia.
When I walk in to the Lubavitcher Rebbe, I used to walk in and I never walked out humbled. I never felt inferior. He used to make me feel as if I was $1 million. He used to make me feel as if the whole of the world depended on me. And if I walked in humble, with reverence and respect, I used to walk out feeling myself that this man had made of me the greatest person on the face of this earth. And therefore I say, Lubavitch, the world depends on you. And our Rebbe was that great, his power and influence that infinite, that even though physically he may not be with us anymore, but his demands, his influence will live on forever. And wherever we go, whatever we do, we will perpetuate in life so that his aims will be fulfilled, and with the help of God in our time.
Thank you very much, Rabbi Gutnick. Lunch is served.
Mr. Chairman, distinguished guests, I'd like to read out a message from the Right Honourable John Major, Prime Minister of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. The message reads, "The spiritual and moral leadership, together with his knowledge and scholarship, made the late Lubavitcher Rebbe an inspirational and perhaps irreplaceable leader of his community. His contribution was such that it had a major influence among individuals and communities well beyond his own. His vision was demonstrated in many ways throughout the Jewish world. His work through the foundations and his message of peace and understanding was admired and welcomed by all. The United States Congress is to be congratulated for reminding us of this by awarding a Congressional Medal in his honor. I wish everyone attending the ceremony an enjoyable and memorable day. John Major, 10 Downing Street." Thank you.
The Rebbe's worldliness made him a unique figure of our time. B'nai B'rith is pleased to have this opportunity to participate in this special moment, to welcome so many who have come so far from distant points to join in this occasion, and to pay tribute to a man who has had such a profound influence on our lives and on our people. Thank you very much.
Chief Rabbi Suissa will be addressing us in Arabic, and the Ambassador of Morocco will translate.
والواحد اللي كيخلي واحد التلاميذ ديالو في حي له هو ولده.
And those who leave behind disciples, they are those like those who leave behind the children.
احنا كنصيبوا اليوم باللي الأدمور عنده الألوف ديال الدراري.
And we can see today that Admor has thousands and thousands and thousands of children.
ثالثا في العالم كله ما كاينش البلاد اللي ما دخلش فيها الأدمور وعمل فيها الفايدة الكبيرة.
Thirdly,
في العالم
I would
كله.
add that there is no place in the whole world where Admiral did not leave behind a landmark.
بهذا كنفهموا باللي حتى شي واحد ما عندوش الحق باش يقول الأدمور راه توفى.
This is why I say no one has the right to say that Admiral is dead.
ومنهيقاف بسراب رحمانو تعصمانو يخلي رسولنا بار آمين.
Now we go to the south of the African continent.
Regardless of how much is said about his greatness, his leadership, his scholarship, regardless of how much is said, this is truly an instance where superlative is understatement. The Rebbe's look, the Rebbe's eyes transcend time and space. When the Rebbe told people 30, 40 years ago, all this time, that it will be good in South Africa, it's not that the Rebbe was merely showing his ability to prophesy the future. What the Rebbe was telling us is have the courage, have the strength to look beyond the immediate and understand that even though things may look bleak, I'm telling you, I'm sharing with you, I'm giving you a gift of a view of the future. Not only a place that'll be good, but a place where generations of hatred, generations of animosity evaporated in a moment, in a split second. That's South Africa today.
Chief Rabbi Avraham Shayevitz, who is here specially from Moscow, and he will be accompanied by Rabbi Beryl Lazar of Moscow, who will translate.
Когда я последний раз с ним встречался, я поблагодарил его за всех посланцев, которые работали и трудились у нас в Советском Союзе, который тогда еще существовал.
Last time I met with the Rebbe, I thanked him for all the emissaries and the shluchim which worked so hard in the Soviet Union, which existed at that time.
И Rebbe сказал, что мы очень мало сделали для советских евреев, и мы перед ними в большом долгу.
The Rebbe answered that we did very little for the Soviet Jews, and we owe them much more.
Пока жива ваша преданность служению Всевышнему, ваша преданность Ребе, до тех пор и он жив, и он с нами.
As long as you're given over to the work of Hashem and to the work of the Rebbe, he's still alive here with us.
Спасибо.
Immediately following the Birkas HaMozon, we will all go by bus motorcade to the George Washington University to hear the tribute lecture by Rabbi Adin Steinsaltz. Rabbi Kotlarski, please.
Rabbi Saim Willem Benchen. Yehi Shem Adonai Mevorach Me'ata V'Yadelem B'Shus Maranam V'Rabbanam V'Rabbi Saim Nevarech Aleinu Shalchal Mishalei Varech Aleinu Shalchal Mishalei of Tovei Chayinu.
מורי ורבותיי, רבנים, חכמים, ladies and gentlemen, I took a text which I'm going to begin to teach So as a starting point to help me to say something, and I hope you'll bear with me, even though I took a few pages of Talmud. אמר רב חנן בר רבא, אמר רב, אותו היום שנפטר אברהם אבינו מן העולם, עמדו כל גדולי אומות העולם בשורה ואמרו. At that day, when our father Abraham passed away, stood all the great men of the nations in a row, and then they made a eulogy upon him. Now, our father Abraham didn't find monotheism. He just stood up and said, that is the right way. So he gathered, those people that he gathered around him were the people that had some belief, but it has to be awakened. Now, did I speak about Avraham Avinu or did I speak about the Rebbe? See, the difference is not so very big. So, after he passed away, the great people of all the nations felt that there is something terrible happened in the world. And they went, they said a eulogy, a very short one. And they said, Oy lo la'olam she'avad manhigo. ואוי לה לספינה שעבד קברניתה. Voy is to the world that lost its leader. Voy is to the ship that lost its captain. We are in the middle of the sea, and we lost our captain. And we are standing there, perplexed, not only sorry, but perplexed and confused, because there is no longer the captain to lead us. The captain is no longer there. He said, really, one thing, which was, you may see terrible waves around you. Everything is a terrible storm. You see it all around you. The winds are blowing from every direction. The coast is very close. Move it a little bit, because you are so very close. Just move it a little bit longer. And that is basically the message. In so many different languages, he said, look within yourself and you see that you are far better than you imagine. Just look, open your eyes again and again. See, our people are suffering from a very general amnesia. We forgot, so many of us forgot what we are. So what the Rebbe said was, go from one person to another. Just make this charming touch. You tell him who he is. Tell those lost people who they are. And when they hear you, when you penetrate some kind of discover, then it's not such a hard work, because they are already here. And he said it not only about Jews, he said the same thing about humanity in general. Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai says, אבן טובה הייתה תלויה בצווארו של אברהם אבינו, שכל חולה הרואה אותו מיד מתרפא. A precious stone was hung around the neck of our father Abraham. Everybody who saw that precious stone, every sick person that saw the precious stone, was immediately healed. And then he says, Father, and when our father Abraham passed away, the Almighty hung this precious stone on the sun. So, in a way, what we say, that when the tzaddik passes away, he's found far more all over than he was in this world. When he was in this world, the precious stone was so very close to him. Now the precious stone is hung high up in high heaven. It is hung with the sun itself. And what we have to do now is to see all these things, to believe in all these things, to know that even though, I mean, the captain is no longer here, we can do it, we should do it, we shall do it. Just pass a little bit more of land, and then we'll come to the real haven. We'll meet again the captain.
Ambassador Jerome J. Shestak, former representative of the United States to the United Nations Mission in Geneva, and chairman of Special Projects for American Friends of Lubavitch.
We are honored by an envoy from the President of the United States. I am very pleased to introduce George Stephanopoulos, Senior Advisor to the President of the United States.
We're here to honor the Lubavitcher Rebbe. And as I said, the President very much wanted to be here tonight to be part of your celebration in person. In fact, I was so certain that he was going to come that I grew this beard for the occasion. But unfortunately, the call of business kept him back at the White House this evening. As you may know, the Japanese trade talks reached their conclusion today, and the President's been very busy. But he wanted you all to know, and I'm very honored to be able to say that after the unveiling this evening, the President will make his own personal presentation of the Congressional Gold Medal in the White House in August, and I'm proud to say that tonight. I would like to ask Rabbi Shem Tov to join me in unveiling the medal, a replica of which all of you will be able to take home before the presentation tonight, so that we can all see the presentation that the President will make at the White House in August. Rabbi Shem Tov?
And I know of his insights, his clarity of thought, and his unmitigated devotion to the Rebbe and to Lubavitch. He brings honor to the Lubavitch movement, not only within us, but throughout the world. Rabbi Krinsky.
I confess that after more than 40 years in his service, the Rebbe remains to me an enigma. An awesome, godly, and towering giant far beyond my grasp. One evening about 40 years ago, he handed me a 2-page handwritten note, a letter that he had just composed, and asked, would you be kind enough to see that this be typed for me? Now, these handwritten pages were very difficult to decipher. The Rebbe, as usual, had made many changes and corrections. There were words running through the lines, along the margins, and arrows pointing in every which direction. I must have appeared a bit daunted by what looked like a dense and labyrinthian maze, and the Rebbe noticed it. Seeing my situation, the Rebbe said to me, don't be confused by the scribbling. Just copy it carefully, word by word and line by line, and you will see that it will all work out. This bit of advice stayed with me forever and was probably one of the secrets of the Rebbe's success in untangling the most complicated and complex problems. In his divine wisdom and incisive ways, he did just that, methodically and thoughtfully, brick by brick, person by person. Here, there, in the far reaches of the world, he built Jewish institutions, Jewish schools, and Jewish pride. Most importantly, and the mark of true leadership, the Rebbe molded a generation of leaders, of true and devoted Jewish leaders. Many of them are here with us today. And I am told that we have representation here today from 43 of the United States of America, and representation of shluchim from 23 different countries. And I want to say to those shluchim, those who are here and those who could not make this spectacular, magnificent event, stand together, work together, be strong. Together you are the most potent force for good in the Jewish world today. So we're empowered by 40 years of his presence with us, of leadership and direction. So together, and I underline together, we can and we must continue to illuminate the world with the warmth and brilliance of Torah, God's wisdom, as the Rebbe taught us to do. We mustn't let the scribbling confuse us. We must devotedly and carefully, word by word, line by line, do our job. And then we will see, as the Rebbe promises, that in the end, it'll all work out. Thank you very much.
We now have the chairman's welcome, Mr. Ronald Perlman, the national chairman of the American Friends of Lubavitch and the event co-chair.
Jerry, thank you very much. I'm Ronald Perlman, and I'm proud and honored as co-chairman with Elie Wiesel to welcome you here this evening to this remarkable event. Tonight is an occasion of great joy as well as great hope, for it celebrates and reaffirms the life of a great human being. Over the years, Lubavitch has been spectacularly successful in realizing the Rebbe's vision. In large part for that reason, as well as many others, the Congress of the United States recently voted to award the Rebbe the Congressional Gold Medal. It is for that reason that we are all here today, having come from literally all parts of the world, to salute and pay tribute to this great and unique human being. As chairman of the American Friends of Lubavitch, I am enormously proud to be here this evening to share this moment together. We have one great thing in common, and that is that we pray together almost every Saturday morning at Fifth Avenue Synagogue. He is one of the most respected voices of our time, a Nobel laureate, a great friend of Lubavitch, a great friend of Rabbi Shem Tov's, and I am proud to say a great friend of mine, Elie Wiesel.
Friends of Chabad, Shlichim of Chabad, Rebbe Avremele, and my friend Ron Perlman. Perhaps this is the moment to remind all of us that Lubavitcher Rebbe, Zichrono Livracha, did not need medals, nor did he need honors. The Lubavitcher Rebbe was the one who gave honors. The very fact that you are here is already an honor. It was an honor to be in his presence. It was an honor to listen to him. It was an honor to be seen by him. Whenever I would see the Rebbe, he touched the depth in me. But that is true of every person who came to see the Rebbe. Somehow, when the person left, he or she felt that they lived deeper and higher, on a higher madrege, on a higher level and in a deeper sense of life, of quest for life and for meaning. Oh, this medal, believe me, the Rebbe didn't need it. But maybe we need it for the Rebbe. So the Rebbe left a legacy. And the legacy is what brings you here, what brings us here together. What is the legacy? The legacy is that 2,000 years of exile have not erased our attachment to God of Israel, to the Torah of Israel, and to the people of Israel. I believe that one day redemption will come. And that day the whole world will not be Jewish. The Jews will be better Jews. And the whole world then simply will become more human. Simply more human. And that will happen because we Jews will be good Jews. Tachlit ha'geula hi geulat ha'emet. The goal of redemption is the redemption of truth. Thank you.
Rabbi Schneur Zalman, while still a young man, is reported to have said to a gathering of prominent scholars, "Speech is a pen of the heart, while melody is a pen of the soul." In that regard, Yitzhak Perlman is a master penman. Tonight, he will play songs that were cherished by the Rebbe and provide his own unique tribute in his masterful way to the Rebbe.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Rabbi Lowe is a leader among the rabbis of the world, and we are honored that he is here to speak to us on this momentous occasion. Rabbi Lowe.
Morai v'Rabotai, Kahal Kadosh. First of all, I want you to know, and I speak about myself as well, even the Lubavitcher Rebbe didn't have children of his own, biologically children. He had left very many thousands of orphans all over the world. If some of you will tell me that he forgot his eyes, I will not believe. If some of you will tell me that he forgot his smile, I will also say I can't believe you, because those were unforgettable for men, for ladies, for children, maybe especially for children, for Jews, for non-Jews, secular, religious. The word of Ahavat Yisrael, love for people of Israel, wasn't by him a slogan, wasn't a promise, wasn't a speech. It was a fact, a matter of a fact, a fundament for life. If there is no corner all over the globe that people there didn't hear Chabad or Lubavitch, is because of one man, the Rebbe. If the Lubavitcher Rebbe physically is not here among us today, but his guidance, his spirit, his teachings, his writings, his speeches, his lessons, his guidance is here. Thinking about the activities of the Rebbe, because I spent with him twice 2 hours and 20 minutes exactly. Never in those hours, and later on, I didn't dare to ask, why Crown Heights? Why Brooklyn? Why not Yerushalayim? I didn't ask. I didn't dare. The captain, sinking boat, and he must take care for the survival of the refugees. For that ship of diaspora, as for the Klal Yisrael, we desperately needed a leader like the Lubavitcher Rebbe. And that's why I never give up a chance and opportunity to go all over the world as a chief rabbi of Israel and to emphasize the magnificent contribution of this spiritual giant of generations. Let's hope that his inspiration, his spirit, will lead us, and we will have the privilege, in the midst of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, to be Mekabel Ponim of Mashiach Tzidkenu, the fully redemption, as the prophecies, our prophecies have prophets, will come soon, b'mehera b'yameinu. Amen.
To introduce our next speaker, I call upon Rabbi Levi Shem Tov.
How does somebody introduce a man like Joe Lieberman? I don't know, but I will try. I refer, whenever I see him, and I see him very often, to Yosef HaTzadik, a man walking the greatest halls of power on earth and clinging so tightly to the faith and the principles which form the basis of his life. He's joined here by his dear wife Hadassah, who has been a great source of support and encouragement to the work of Lubavitch here and to me and Nechama personally, and by his mother, a woman who's probably given this generation of Jews one of its greatest gifts. So if there's one thing I can say in introducing Senator Lieberman, it is this: that he has literally shattered the glass ceiling of what one can achieve as a Fruma Yid, as an observant Jew. The respect and admiration that he receives on both sides of the aisle is an example in its own right. And as he and I speak about this, he in his way, and I try in mine, what we want to do is make the legacy of the Rebbe a living one by living the legacy. Ladies and gentlemen, Senator Joe Lieberman.
I am truly honored and in sincerity humbled to have been asked to be part of this program. And I want to use this opportunity first to really say a personal thank you, because like those who have spoken before me and those who fill this magnificent hall tonight, I was touched by the Rebbe. I have memories that are so alive, and as Rabbi Lau said, I can see the smile, I can see the depth and beauty of the eyes. I remember going with Hadassah to receive a bracha before we were married. I remember wanting to go to visit the Rebbe, to ask for a bracha as the last step I took before flying from Connecticut, New York to Washington to be sworn in as a United States Senator in January of 1989. So I thank the Rebbe here tonight in front of this great assemblage for his encouragement, for his counsel, for the sense of purpose and steadfastness and optimism that I received gratefully from him. As Elie Wiesel said, the Rebbe doesn't need this medal, but maybe America, through its elected representatives throughout this country of every religion and color and age and category, needed to award this medal to the Lubavitcher Rebbe because of what he came to mean and means to the American Jewish community and to America generally. The Congress of the United States is saying, let's look to the Rebbe, let's look to his teachings, let's listen to his words, let's follow his example. The Rebbe took the Torah and brought it down to earth for us and taught us how to incorporate it within ourselves. And in doing so, the Rebbe gave encouragement to each of us to understand how easy it could be to combine a life of Yiddishkeit with a life of full involvement in the broader community. I took particular encouragement from this as I tried in my own way to combine these two worlds. Will any of us ever forget those moments at the Farbrengen when the Rebbe had finished speaking for a period of time, and it was an opportunity to pour a small l'chaim and look to try to catch the Rebbe's eye and to receive a l'chaim back with the vitality, with the joy, with the depth that was in those eyes. I think tonight, as we gather here to honor the Rebbe's memory and commit ourselves to carrying on the work, we are in some sense trying to catch his eye, hoping that he sees us, hoping in our way that he is being a good debater for us, but more than that, hoping that we not only catch his eye, but we embrace his vision, and that it will guide us forward, all of us here, shluchim, balabatim, all of us here, as the Rebbe would want it, step by step, mitzvah by mitzvah, always optimistic and confident that we will reach that time of absolute justice and universal peace and total joy that we are yearning for, and may it happen speedily in our time. B'mheira v'yameinu. Thank you.
He has not only been a messenger of Lubavitch, but he has made that message known to the leaders of this nation, to leaders around the world. Much of the recognition that is so deserved, but which is so hard to get, has been through the efforts and labors and love of Rabbi Shem Tov, whose soul throughout his life has been bound in the soul of the Rebbe, and to me exemplifies the finest traditions of Chabad. My friend Rabbi Shem Tov.
Primarily, we are here tonight gathered together at such a difficult time to unite and to pick up the charge that has been put on us at this difficult juncture in history and in our personal lives. At times such as this, you will usually find the split into different directions. We are told that when the Jews left Egypt and they faced the difficult problem upon reaching the sea, being backed by the army and the sea and the desert, and they really had no point of escape. And our sages tell us that at that time the clear message and call from Hashem came. Daber el bnei Yisrael v'sou. You know, when you left Egypt, I told you clearly where your destiny and where your direction is. What has happened? Is there anything in that which happened that is to, in any way, interfere with the following in that direction? It may appear to be so, but in reality it is not, because the direction was set by someone who was fully aware, and is fully aware, continues to be fully aware of the difficulties which we may face. And as long as the direction was set, only following that direction is the answer. Insofar as our mission is concerned, insofar as our purpose in life which we are following is concerned, there ought to be no confusion whatsoever. Nothing that should interfere in the direction and in the plan that the Rebbe has set for us. There were always stacks of papers on the Rebbe's desk, letters and entries and books and sforim of all kinds. The Rebbe's desk was cleared by the Rebbe, or in his orders. And instead of all of the books and all of the correspondence and everything else, appeared on the Rebbe's desk 4 books. These 4 volumes contain the pictures, photographs of the shluchim and their families throughout the world. This is the Rebbe's legacy. And there is no reason and no justification whatsoever to have any doubt that this remains the Rebbe's course and charge to all of us. Where do we go from here? That's very clear. We go to, and we continue to go on the direction on which the Rebbe put us. And what is the direction? The direction is of Yizgadal v'Yizkada Shmei Rabbo. The direction is to glorify the name of Hashem and to carry the message that has been entrusted to us on Mount Sinai, and that we have been so fortunate to be entrusted with it by the Moshe Rabbeinu of our generation. We put our hope and we turn our hope to Hashem to hasten the Geula, the coming of Mashiach. And we end with Eisa Shalom B'mreimov. Shalom, peace. Shalom, unity. As long as there will be unity among us, There is nothing which is beyond our reach because of the keiches that the Rebbe invested in us. And if there is any division whatsoever, it's only on the surface. It's only temporary. It's only an expression of despair that we have to overcome, and we will overcome. And we come out of this room tonight. And the pledge that is so well inscribed on the medal, L'sakino Elam, to improve and perfect the world, to better the world. This to us is real. This to us is an accomplishable task once we devote ourselves to it. And then we turn to Hashem and we say, yes, we will try our best to Yizgado Vizkado Shmei Rabba, but we ask of Hashem in return, we should see the world let out of the Golus, out of the darkness of the Golus, into the light of Mashiach Tzidkenu speedily in our time. A gute Nacht.